Hi everyone, my name is Chris Martin. Welcome to Keto with me. It is day 84 on my journey back into keto. If you're new to my channel, check out my day 0 video where I talk about the reasons of why I created this video series. All right, let's roll the clip. All right, that was the clip for week 12. So I had another great week. That puts me at 4 weeks now that I've been under 200 pounds. So that feels really good to finally just, kind of establish that I'm, down below that. So for week 12, let me go over the numbers. So for weight, I lost 2 pounds for week 12. I'm down a total of 44.4 pounds, and I am now at 190.2. So I'm like super excited about, breaking the 190s. Hopefully, week 13, that's what, what's in store. So let me go over the numbers for the week. So the additional numbers like averages and stuff. So this is a 5-day average, because remember I'm fasting, 72 hours of that. So my average fat intake was 138 grams of carbs, a little high that week. My carbs were 19, a little higher than what I was used to as well. And then the protein was 93. That gave me macro percentages at 75, 5, and 20 as the average for those 5 days. So all really, really, really good. So my average blood glucose was 80 for the week, and that's for all 7 days. And my ketones were 2.5 for all 7 days. That gave me a Dr. Boz ratio of 36 and a GKI of 2 for the average for 7 days. So during that, week 12, I also completed, I completed my 6th 72-hour fast. I think I told you guys I fast 24 hours. Typically I shoot for a 1 meal a day fasting, but then, I wanted to do these 8 72-hour fasts, to kind of, get into autophagy, clean my body out and all this other stuff. Well, I just completed the 6th. So technically the last 2 days of week 12, I started it, and then, the first day of week 13 is when I complete it. So it was definitely a different kind of week, a little more challenging. I had an out-of-town client meeting that was close enough we could drive. It was like 2.5 hours and then 2.5 hours back, but they catered lunch, so that made it a little bit more difficult. But they had salad, which was great, and then they had sandwiches, which I just took the meat and cheese off and ate that. So, but the big challenge, I guess the challenge for that is that there were a couple items I just had to guess, what the content was on it, and I didn't fast, for 24 or 23 hours that day, because we ate at like 12. So you'll see those numbers in there if you look back at the diary. So, and then on the last day of that, of week 12, I had, I was at an event that I was at all day long. What they catered in, was not sufficient at all for eating. Plus, it was during the middle of my fast, so I just fasted right on past it. So I was very proud of myself that I was able to, stick with exactly what I needed to do. Even it was a very, very busy day, and then my fellow peers were around me eating and so forth. So one thing I've noticed over the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, that my carbs have been creeping up from like like 12, 13 range up to averaging closer to 20. It hasn't really knocked me off my game, obviously, but just something I noticed, and I want to make sure that if it does start to affect me, I'm going to do something to mitigate it. But for right now, I seem to be okay. Lastly, the meals for my week that I had, just kind of say out loud, is that again, my salmon patties that I absolutely love, some spaghetti squash, some bacon wrapped chicken and cream sauce, which is absolutely delicious, and then some breakfast for dinner, and then also steak and shrimp. So one of those days, actually, I kind of had leftovers that I carried over to the next day. So the great thing about being on keto is I find myself definitely grabbing the leftovers from the previous day, if there are any, and kind of using it to help augment the current day, which has just been really fantastic. So that's it for the daily recap. Let's talk about my goals. For the goals for week 12, so as you see, there's day 78 through 84. Again, I have 5-day averages for some of these things. For most of these things except for sleep. So my average sleep has been, for the last several weeks, it's been averaging around 7.5 hours sleep a night. So I'm doing really good on that. I tend to be, in what I consider beast mode, not getting up at night. It's just fantastic. You guys hear me say it if you watch the diary series a lot. I just absolutely love how the sleep has improved. So looking at, my eating keto, as far as fasting goes, I'm averaging, it says that I average like 22.8, and that's again because I had that one day where I had to eat, I shouldn't say I had to eat, I ate lunch at the client. And so I finished my fast a little earlier that day, but overall I still had almost 23 hours average fasting for those 5 days. And then on top of it, I go right into my 72-hour fast. So doing great on that. I'm in beast mode on that. As far as carbs are concerned, just within my macros, I'm doing great about keeping under 20. Like I mentioned before, I kind of, been creeping up a little bit. You'll see on there I have one day that's 24.4. I don't remember exactly what the reason was off the top of my head, but I definitely creeped up over that. And, I just got to be very mindful of that. I think sometimes, I'll get a little ahead of myself as I'm, coming to the end of the fast and I just want to eat. I'll just, start to grab things a little sooner and not really, process how much it's like doing it. So I got to be very, very mindful of that. And then you see my macro percentages are looking really good. I mean, everything averaged out at about 75, 5, and 20, which is typically a good target to have. Now, one thing we never talked about and I've never mentioned, and I'll probably do a video one day, is that macro augmentation, like what do you do if you're close to it? How do you get the fat up to where you need it? And then also like advanced macros. There's a lot of groups out there that I see that they have you do the 75, 5, and 20, but then when you get to a sticking point, actually they even just have you move up to more advanced macros, which is like an 80% fat. Excuse me, and then also keep your grams of fat, I think, at like 5. So, I would consider that to be advanced, and probably would even be, some work for me to do, but I would be up for it if I got to that point. Right now, I'm getting good results. I'm going to stick with it while I'm getting these results, and then when I need to, I'll adjust it when necessary. So as far as learning this week, I only had time to watch a single video, but one thing I'm not mentioning in this, is I keep forgetting to mention, is that I am doing readings. I'm kind of, I'm on Audible, I'm listening, shouldn't say readings, but, I'm listening back to the Dr. Boz books, and then I've got 2 or 3 other books lined up that I want to watch, or listen to, should I say. So, but I'm doing good on that. I would be doing better if I actually, watched, well, according to my sheet, watching more videos. But to me, I'm beast moding it all. As always, my tracking is on point. I'm actually creating a new and improved spreadsheet for myself, and then I have a mentor that's coming on to the series that I'm going to, so not a mentor, a mentoree that I'm going to be mentoring soon. So you'll see a new series come out where I start to do that. And I made the spreadsheet for him, but at the same time, I'm going to use it for myself because, when I first started doing this, I kind of had a sheet here, this here, chronometer there, and then actually 2 or 3 sheets. So I've kind of merged things together. Don't worry, I'm still going to do my little book because this is my quick write it and go, diary. Meditation, relaxation, I'm still doing, 10 minutes a day. That's always good. No exercise. I told you in the last video that I'm shelving that until I'm to the end of my journey, at least as far as until I reach my goal of where I want to be with my weight loss. Okay, that's it for my goals. Let's talk about, my video recommendation for week 12. Okay, let's talk about my video recommendation for week 12. So this is a Dr. Berry video. It is 7 minutes and 36 seconds long. It is called, "Can you prevent Alzheimer's dementia with diet?" And then he has in parentheses, "I think you can." So first of all, I want to say, after watching the video all the way through, that this is a theory, that it's not like been proven, that, what we're going to talk about actually does it. But as he presents, his case for it and stuff, it makes 100% sense to me, exactly because, of the effect of glucose on it. So looking at my notes here, because I watched this a couple days ago, it says, most likely it can prevent, so that means I took it out of his context and said that's basically what he said. He said there's a huge epidemic, especially in this century, in the last, 60, 100 years of dementia-related, disease. So, and what he's saying is to help prevent, for early prevention. So he says he does believe it'll help with people that already have, dementia-based diseases, from what I understand in the video, but he's saying that, this is definitely to help prevent it. So we all know, and he says this in there, we're 2 fuel sources here. We either can do ketones or we can glucose. Well, we used to be a primarily ketone, type of, humans, throughout, what he called the eons of existence. And, and just in the last 60, 100 years, we've kind of migrated over to predominantly, fueling ourselves off of glucose. His theory, and he's saying the theory is, and it's not, I don't believe it's his theory, I think it's stuff he's read and he also believes in, is that, the brain becomes very poor at, being able to process glucose, and utilize it correctly. And it also, one thing he mentioned is that it used to be believed that, once your brain got to about 25 years old, that, it was fully developed and it never changed after that. You never created new, I want to say he said neurons and, other stuff. That he said that's false. He said they now know that, the brain, much like other cells in the body, replaces itself every so often. So he said that about every 3 years, you essentially have rebuilt your brain, over again. And, his point is that, those fats are, if you're eating primarily a glucose-based diet, over and over and over and over again, it's not getting the fats that it needs to build, when it rebuilds the brain, so, and then at some point it becomes poor at processing glucose. So, you can infer from that what he's saying. So he said that, it was an interesting statement that some folks are, some people are referring to dementia as diabetes for the brain. So I thought that was very interesting. He's saying that, ketogenic, ketones are the fuel source that will help prevent. I tend to believe it. It makes 100% sense to me. We've already seen the results that we can get in other areas of, with keto, with the body fuel and ketones. I mean, I'm just massive amounts of energy. I just feel amazing and stuff. So I'm doing what I can now to prevent, what I can later, and I really do think I'm doing what's right, and so I believe what Dr. Berry is saying. I'm sure that we're going to see over the next 10, 15, 20 years a lot of research that goes behind that. That's my video recommendation for week 12. I hope you enjoyed it. This one was a little bit personal. My father-in-law died of dementia, and I just watched him over the last 15 years. Complications of dementia, should I say. And I just watched him go from being very normal, but he loved sugars and stuff, and he was overweight, and so I tend to believe it. All right, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on it. All right, that's it for day 84, technically week 12's diary series video. Thanks for taking time to watch it today. Please take time and like and subscribe so you can keto with me. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Just remember, none of us are perfect. Be a coach, not a critic, and take care.